And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is Comics Corner. Your host, JPO, Jordan Personas. I'm joined by, once again, a repeated guest. He so good we brought him back several years later. David Flick. David, how are you, my man?
Doing good, man. I think it's been literally like 7 years. Has it been that long?
It's been a while. A
Yeah,
while.
yeah, a while.
First off, we got to ask, tell me about the whale poster.
What's that?
Tell me about the whale poster behind you, man.
Oh, the whale poster behind me. That's just. I want to think of something prophetic and cool to say. That's just me reminding me that at any point there's always a bigger fish out there. So you just gotta keep working and grinding and because I don't. But no, it's just this isn't like my house. So that poster was on the wall there, so I didn't move it.
Whose house did you break into? It's not your house?
I mean, it's not that complicated of a situation, but it's something like that. I didn't break in here. Like I'm allowed to be here, but barely.
No, I don't know what you mean. But I'll just let it go. I don't want to get you.
Just keeping it in a loop. Keeping it in a loop. By the way, I'm drinking. I'm on the seltzer train. One of those people, but I found the solution in COVID. There's a company that makes ones. Vizzy makes these. I'm not getting paid. Don't worry. Yet, but they have like antioxidants and vitamins in them. So I'm like, all right. So I'm getting drunk and fighting COVID at the same time, keeping myself healthy.
So that's smart, man. You found a way to skirt the system.
So everybody out there that's trying to figure out, like, man, I don't want to be an alcoholic, but I'm worried about my immune system. They got your back.
Vizzy, feel free to drop off a case, Vizzy, at the house. We'll talk about you every week if you want. Vizzy at a store near you. So obviously we're at a weird time right now, man. When's the last time you hit the stage? Have you been able to find a stage lately, or has it been a while?
I mean, I went last month. Some stuff opened back up, and there was some mics happening. I went and I did an open mic, but then it was like I didn't go the next week because I was like, I don't know, there was some stuff going on, and then they were shut down again a week later. And they were the only mic I saw that popped open. So I know that they've been still doing some stuff at like the Laugh-In, but I haven't really gone down there. I'm just kind of, I don't know, man. I'm generally wary. I'm on the wear your mask and socially.
Well, that's gonna be my other question. Like, did you even want to risk it? Because I understand both arguments. So
I think there's really. I went out for that one open mic and it was busy and it seemed like things were gonna get back down, but it was like I was still kind of just like I felt really weary. Like I was excited to be out, but it was also like it'd been months, man, because I think the last time I actually got on stage was late February, early March, somewhere in that range. Like I don't really remember the date, exactly, but things were getting like sketchy, and it was just like I know gigs were canceling left, right, and center, and it was just one of those things where it was just when everything opened back up so quick, I was like, all right, I'll go check out a mic, and then I was just like, I don't know if this is good because so many people came to that mic. It wasn't like they went from, all right, like nobody is allowed to, we're going to let 10 people kind of space out in the room and take their turn going and whatever. And I was like, there's like 35 people there, not really social distancing, nobody wearing a mask. It was just, it's one of those things where I feel like stuff like that kind of led to a lot of the recent surges and stuff. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like avoiding it until it seems like they've gotten it right or they know what we're gonna do, what's the real plan? Because what works and what doesn't work, change it. Like, come on, man, I just everybody out there with too much time on their hands looking for a new conspiracy like every day now. The new one is that Wayfair selling cabinets for too much money, so they had to be part of a pedophile ring thing. I don't know. Just like every single day, somebody's got a new conspiracy, and I'm like, yo, please let the economy open back up so these people can get back to work, man. like I can't take too much more of this stuff on social media. Like
too much time on your hands, you'll just start coming up with shit.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass, and they're gonna figure out that was a real thing. But like it's every day it's something new. But I mean, I'm just wearing my mask, going out very limited amount. Ordering stuff to go instead of going in to eat and all that good jazz.
Do you miss it at all? Is there a big itch? Are you cool?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still writing stuff. I'm still writing new bits at like a similar clip, and I still want to work out material. And I have honestly, I was trying to build some new stuff to incorporate, to kind of shift some stuff away to maybe like Pocket to try to record in some way soon. or sometime down the line, like kind of shifted out of my act. I was like, okay, like this is going to be something I'm going to release separately, you know, and work on some new stuff that I could do to still have a full act while being able to produce something around like 40-45 minutes or something. But then all this started going down, but I've been writing a lot still, so it's like I'm excited when everything gets back out, but I'm just like I don't want to rush it, and I don't want to blow anything doing like the online Zoom comedy and stuff like that. No offense to Zoom, but no offense to anybody that's making that work. It's just the way I just don't think stylistically I can. I think I'm kind of planning to maybe do some, if this keeps going a little longer, some like YouTube or TikTok little like rant videos or daily something like that wouldn't necessarily work with like stand-up, or stuff that would work with stand-up, but it's not like I'm not going to do this forever anyways. It's some kind of topical. I might as well just burn this on Zoom because it's not going to work in 2 months when everything opens back up again anyways, or whatever, you know, like. So.
Yeah, I've always been very trepidatious of the Zoom stuff, just me personally, because I don't know, I need a stage to move around and people to look at, and like it's weird. I don't think I could do it. I think I'd be very off, and I think I would suck.
I've thought about trying to maybe do like a small house show where like people spread out, or like people that are already engaged on a regular basis, and if they've, you know, that have already in whatever system they've gotten their group of friends, like, because I have, you know, you could get like 10 or 12 friends that I already regularly see, and you know, and we're all limiting our interactions in every other way we can, do a show on Zoom or something like that with that small of an audience, like in my house, but then like, you know, broadcast it and say, hey, you know, it's $5 to join if you want to sit in or something like that. I thought about doing something like that, like, because then it'd be like, all right, this is pretty close to a real show, or maybe an open mic format, doing that same thing, like everybody that comes to it, you know, we social distance, we wear masks. Even if people want, they could bring their own microphone, or we could have a, you know, mic in the stand or mask on during the thing. To me, it's so they always talked about, like, I have a big beard, and I've already, like, when I'm really doing stand-up, I already trim that back around my mouth, and sometimes I just cut it all off if I'm going to be doing a string of shows, because there's a lot to be said, and I've heard a lot about how much the movement of the mouth and the expressions in the lower half of the face influence your audience, and how important that is to be able to convey what you're saying, not just through the microphone, but visually too. So I think like because I've seen people doing like different open mics and stuff with the mask on. One, it sounds weird because it adds an extra muffle on the N95 masks, and the painter's masks, I call them, type, the ones that kind of cup around the mouth more. And the cloths don't really, in my opinion, like for something like that where everybody's using the same microphone, those wouldn't be a great idea, because those don't stop enough close range, you know what I mean? Like they do help with if you're coughing or sneezing, compared to if you have no barrier in front of your mouth. That does limit some, but the long and the short of it is, like, it doesn't seem like the best idea in the world to like rush back to comedy. I would love to be able to just go and do it, or find a way to facilitate doing it. Like I had like a crazy idea, like what if we were doing something where, and then we just don't have the like my brain, the idea my brain had is like, we don't have the technology for it yet. Whereas like you could find a theater where people were in on a Zoom screen in front of you, right? Like you had a screen that had like 1,000, didn't necessarily have 1,000 faces, but a lot of, as the people are laughing, it cycles in through their faces right in front of you on a screen, right? Like let's say there's a 30-inch screen in front of you, like kind of at an angle at the base of the screen. Then in the theater, everywhere in the seats, there's like a post, right, with a camera coming up out of it. Like the post that comes up with the camera on it, and like the people can articulate the camera a little bit left to right with the control on the screen. But basically, like the people would be, you could buy a seat in a theater still. Like you could still get a good seat right up front for the comic, or you could get nosebleed seats in the back that you could zoom in a little bit with the camera. But I mean, like literally a way to where you can still have a theater full of people watching you, and you can see them laughing on the screen. You can hear the feedback laughter a little bit. It'd still be delayed and echo, but like when we could get, I think that's really going to be a thing at one point. Like, or there'll be something very similar to that, like with live broadcasting shows simultaneously as they're being played live at like places like the Cellar or the Comedy Store or something, where you could, if you can't be there in person, you can still pay like $20 and sit there and watch the show live broadcast. You know, I think that's going to be part of the future of comedy. It's going to be tougher though, because there's going to be a lot of guys that want to burn new bits and something like that they're going to plan to put on a special, and you know, so there'll be kinks to work out in that system too. But my like lunatic idea of like, yeah, why don't we just put like 300 cameras in a room? Like, I don't know, because that probably costs like fucking $300,000 or something to like put together, and how much are you really going to make back on an idea like that, But
We
we'll
can
figure it out.
think.
Dude, but that's my crazy shit. Like, I'm not thinking about conspiracy theories. I'm like, how do we get back to comedy when we can't actually be in the room?
The
Like,
important things. Thank you.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I can't come up with a fucking vaccine, but I'm trying to figure out ways that we can like make something work, And I see a lot of guys doing skits and stuff like that, and I think that's cool. But a lot of the ideas I have for skits require like multiple people, and it's just like, man, I don't know. I don't want to get anybody sick. I don't want to get sick. I'm trying not to be too like paranoid, but I'm also trying to be respectful. It's like a really weird time, man. Like,
Weird times indeed. Yeah, there's no argument here for that, man. So let's go back now. How long have you been in the game?
shit. The first time I ever did stand up was 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. At Fred's in Naples. That's the birthplace of many a great Southwest Florida comedian. No, Fred's was cool. But yeah, that was a while back. I've had some hiatuses in there, some self-imposed, some government imposed. Little bit of some time away from the game. But that's the other thing with this right now is I was just coming into the ability, like I was going to probably be moving back out to LA here in a little bit. I was going to try to take some acting. I was going to try to do things better than I did when I lived out there before, instead of like, I don't have to like scrape by, financially speaking, I'm in a better position than I was then. So I can like actually go out there and do the things I wanted to do and put my focus into things, not just comedy, but things that are comedy related that I always wanted to do, like acting and voiceover work and stuff like that. Like I can put my energy in that as opposed to like having to go and like do paid audience work and like struggle and that sort of stuff, So I was there were good things on the horizon, and now it's like I know a lot of creatives that are like getting out of LA in general. Like there's a big talk in a lot of different circles about people like gravitating away from Los Angeles, and it's crazy, man. But
because of COVID or just in general? Like what's the LA scene?
I think it's the reactions to COVID, and then seeing how California potentially has reacted in general. That's made a lot of people kind of weary. The lighting's crappy in here because you have some clouds. But there we go. It's a little better. I've just heard different reasons. Like, I mean, they've been talking about it on like the Joe Rogan podcast. A few different comics he's had on there discussing different places they're thinking of moving, and they all have the fortunate advantage of having made it, so they can be like, well, now that I'm a household name, I can go wherever I want, do whatever I want. But I still think it's just like California. I was looking to try to get out there by like November, but now I just don't know that even if by November they're really going to be up and running. And I know that sounds crazy to say in July.
I mean, yeah, I'm not ruling out 2020 being a dud in general, man. Yeah, so right. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get something coming around the pipe. I mean, I've been doing a little bit of like day trading stocks and stuff like that. And there's a lot of companies out there that are developing antibody treatments or working towards vaccines, and like they're faster testing methods, more cheaper testing methods. So it's like people could actually take, like you could do an event where you could have rapid testing at something where like people line up and take a test, and within 15 minutes you'll know whether or not they're positive and whether or not they can enter the event and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get there sooner. Like even if we don't get to the vaccine level, maybe we'll get to the quick testing level, and then the quick testing level will allow us to do more stuff publicly. Like I went to Universal Studios a couple weeks ago with like how to wear a mask and everything. It was kind of a weird experience. But it was, the hardest part about it was just being in the Florida sun, like any other time you go to Universal. Like honestly, like people were social distanced, everybody, they were clean. They were doing better on like sanitizing and like cleaning protocols than any restaurant or grocery store you're going to go to, was actually shocking to me. Like, I was kind of like sketched out about it, but my friend was like kind of pushing me. So we went, and honestly, it was surreal, man, because you see everybody in the mask and everybody's keeping 6 feet apart. But the craziest part about it was like how short the lines were. Like me as like a person that hates just standing out in the Florida sun as a ginger for 2 hours baking to get on one Harry Potter ride was like, shit, it's a 10-minute wait. Cool. Like, like But it's like that sort of thing won't last. But it's like if they can get theme parks open, you know what I mean? Like if they can get to the point where theme parks are able to be open, we got to be able to figure out some other stuff to get everything else going. You know what I mean? To get everything to like 80% normal. 80% normal would be cool. I'll take 80% normal to this like 95% weird, you know? And I'm not one of those people that has a problem being alone or wearing the mask or anything. I'm just like, this is just weird. And it's like, I just like everybody else, I want normal again. I just want normal, like, to happen, you know, reasonably, you know?
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's only hit me recently. At first, I was like, more time for home and Netflix. But now I'm like, all right, now I want to see people and do stuff and get back to normal. And like you said, it might be a version of the new normal that we're hitting, you know, where just for a little while here, if not a lot longer, that it might be, like you said, where it just becomes where, yeah, you can go to a sporting event and there might be some testing before you can get in, you know? Like,
right. Like,
it's probably going to be a new normal.
And there's got to be something comprehensive and something, you know, we got to have a little more, I think we need a little more top-down guidelines sort of a thing going on. I think we need a little bit more attention to like what everybody should be doing as opposed to being like, well, you know, the state, you know, they'll all figure it out, you know, I don't know. But I sports is going to be weird because I know like the athletes have concerns about catching it from each other or bringing it home to their families or being made to quarantine just to make, you know, like this entertainment. They're like, I don't want to be like in basically like some sort of weird solitary confinement where I can only interact with the other players and coaches and stuff for like 3 months just to play basketball to like appease the masses. I care more about my health and my family's health and my long-term health or whatever than I do about like, you know, getting out there and shucking and jiving. Like, it's just, and it makes sense to me. Like, but like, so we got to figure out something like big. Like there has to be some big changes before anything's going to resemble like normal again, I think. Like,
no, absolutely. Here, no, it's a weird times, you know, because I help promote pro wrestling as well. You know, that's obviously the discussion of, you know, I told anyone like when we do run shows, hey, if you're not comfortable, let me know. Like no pressure, man. Like I understand if you're like, you know, you want to stay home, and yeah, it's even weird. Even I go back and forth on.
And that's contact too, so that's next level.
And even there's even stuff even WWE is supposedly having trouble, you know what I mean? And they're having cases come up, and you know they have the money to test and whatnot. So, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I even saw this thing on. They showed these helmets the NFL might like that they're literally considering for the NFL that have like a mask built into the face guard, like a visor, and then there's like a mask built into the face guard on the helmet. So like, I don't know, block out the pathogens or whatever, which is just crazy to me. Like, but that's would have to be super rough with the amount of cardio that they're doing and like that would just be so rough. But they're pushing for it, man. They're talking about having you know, football start on time potentially, which is next month. You know, and
that's gonna be rough, man. Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
I'm in this weird zone where I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, we need to just, you know, chill out and shut everything down till we figure it out. But I'm also like, I can't be that guy that's just like, this is bullshit and I'm bored. Hurry up. You know, like I want football back too. I want basketball back too. But I'm also like, I get the athlete standpoint of like, I'm not trying to get fucking sick just because you guys are bored. Like, you know, like.
I mean, and also too, like I hate to say, but from the athlete standpoint, they also probably want to do it for money. You know what I mean? Like they're going.
Yeah, like, there is definitely that
sponsors and this and that. So.
That's the other side of it. The guys that are like, I don't give a shit about something that kills mostly old people. You know, like I'm healthy enough that this probably isn't going to affect me. Let's go. I need to make this money. I get that side too. You know, and I don't know what contingencies there are in anybody's contracts for global pandemics shutting down the league. Like, you know, because if the league's not generating revenue, they're not going to play the play. You know, like that just makes sense. But you know, so hopefully some of these guys, you know, have a little bit of a contingency plan. But there are a lot of guys that are like, you know, we're watching towards the end of their careers and we're going to miss out on some golden years if this stuff doesn't get going, which is also like another, like Vince Carter was in the final year he was going to play, and he has the long, like he played in the NBA longer than anybody, or as long as anybody in the history of the NBA. It was in the final year of, you know, his career, and the you know, season got cut short by like 30, 40 games, whatever it was. And so that's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, and he wasn't on a good enough team that's going to make like this playoff push. They were not on he wasn't, you know, he was, you know, late rotation guy. But it's little stuff like that, like, sucks to lose. But it's also like, Vince Carter's still alive, so that's cool. Like, I'd rather Vince Carter still be here than, I don't know.
No, that's very true too. Yeah. The thrill of playing or the thrill of living.
But see, man, I've only seen one example of like an athlete that got really sick. There was like an Olympic swimmer, I want to say. I know he was an Olympic athlete. And he just said that this was like the worst sickness he's ever felt in his life, and that he still can't breathe right even after he's recovered, so. But a lot of other guys that have there have been NBA players that have got it and recovered and didn't really say the symptoms were too heavy for them.
It seems to me it varies, obviously, right? Like, just depends on your immune system, depends on the person.
And that's what they're trying to figure out too, is like maybe there's something in the genetic markers of different people that like affects them differently. Like they were saying there's a correlation to blood type. Like people with type A blood, I think, are getting hit harder. Like, or like people with that certain, I'm not like, I'm just, talking out, but this was a real thing. Right. I don't remember what blood type it was, but there was like, I want to say it was type O, had very, very low like number of cases or fatalities. I'm, like I said, I'm talking out my ass with the types, but I want to say O was very unlikely to get it or contract severe symptoms. And then A was like most likely to get it and most likely to have the most severe symptoms. So there could be something else deeper as they go into like people's genetic markers over time that they can figure out like, well, wait, this person has this thing going on this particular part of their genes. And that's why they had like no symptoms. Whereas people that have this and then we can figure out like, all right, cool. Like, well, now we can do genetic marker testing to go, all right, well, you need to do this, or like you're almost no risk whatsoever. So you're probably best likely to work in frontline jobs, like at hospitals and stuff like that. Like that could literally be part of a new future if they figure out that certain genetic markers led to actual like disease resistance, and maybe not just in COVID, maybe in other things. Like if they do deeper research on this, that might actually be something there, So maybe this will lead to some sort of pathway to just better understanding people, like, or better understanding like our own selves. I don't know. Maybe that'd be the best case scenario we can hope for. But out of all of this is that we figure out, a lot of people lost their grandparents and stuff like that, but we figure out like, hey, like these people are more disease resistant because of this. And then we can work on how to like maybe isolate that and work it into all of our genes. And I don't want to be one of those crazy people here like, look, we'll just splice in, like we get some of Bob's genes and splice it into me and you, we're doing better, like.
It's all up in the air though, man. Yeah, no, I mean it's a possibility, like you said, that could be the new normal, and who knows? I mean, I'll just look at simply, not to be morose, but why does it kill? Yes, young and old, but also there's 30-year-olds that are dropping from it. So something's hitting people differently,
Dude, there was a guy, and it's like it would be a sad story if it wasn't so ironic. There was this guy, I want to say his last name was Rose. I can have to look it up. But there was this dude, and he was posting. He's like, I'm not wearing or buying no mask, like da-da-da, this whole thing. And he just basically just anti-mask, random rhetoric he was posting. And then like a few different, things about that on his Facebook. And then they show like the progression of him being like, feeling kind of crappy, might go get a test for COVID. Then saying how bad his symptoms were getting. And then literally saying like, hey, if I die, something. And then the guy died. So, like, the guy was literally just out here going, like, that's bullshit. I'm not wearing a mask. Screw that. Da-da-da-da-da. And then he got sick and progressively was like, like, just one of those crazy stories to come out of all of this where it's like, dude, like, you probably would still be here if you would have just listened to science, like. And then there's people being like, well, it's fascism. They're making you just taking away your freedoms. I'm like, putting a mask on is not taking away your freedom. You still have the freedom to go to the store. You just don't have the freedom to be an asshole about other people's fucking health, potentially. You can bring up all the shit you want about how some of the masks aren't effective. So wear one that fucking is. That's on you, too. Reasonably be responsible for yourself. If you're saying that certain masks that certain people are wearing are not, working as well as they should be, they're still working better than nothing. There is no evidence to support that wearing some kind of barrier is inferior to not wearing a barrier. There's no evidence. There's no scientific data that supports that, right? But then there's also like, all right, if your whole problem is that all the masks but the N95 aren't as effective as the N95, well, then go buy N95s and fucking wear them when you go to the store, dude. It's not hard. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I just want us to be able to get past all this shit. And if we don't do that, if we don't do the simple, like, stay 6 feet apart, wear the fucking mask, blah, 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 then we're going to be stuck, you know, in this weird limbo zone where we keep getting cases and we keep getting cases and we keep getting
That's
or it's going to do this. And it's like
my fear. Yeah.
And if
yeah. No, sorry. No, I'm saying that's my fear, man. I mean, like, for instance, whenever I have somebody like in wrestling that's like, oh, I'm hurt, but I want to come back. I'm like, no. Heal up and then come back before it gets worse. And that's what I'm afraid we're doing now is that we're not healing up. We're rushing to open theaters and theme parks and this and that.
We're putting weight on that ankle.
You're making it worse, you know. Let's stop.
And that could cause the real long-term damage.
Down now, and, you know.
I saw this thing about schools, and somebody was trying to break down what the percentages would actually be in just like one county, like how many kids would potentially die, how many teachers would potentially die, how many administrators, people outside of the, you know, various fields would die. And it was one of those bus drivers, like all these different people that would have been impacted by schools opening up while we still have an active viral load going on, you know. And it was one of those things where when they broke down the percentages like that, you're like, holy shit, man, that's a lot of people. And that's one county. And I don't know how to handle this. Like, I feel bad for trying to like even pontificate on it, being like, well, we shouldn't open schools, because I know parents are like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do with our kids, man? Like, what are they supposed to do with their kids? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, we got to figure that shit out too. But the virtual school thing is too hard for too many parents to like work out. But if we fucking send millions of kids back to school, like, that alone scares me. Just the potential outbreak pop we'll get from sending kids back to school that are just going to intermingle, and they're going to be going from class to class. They're going to have, and once you, like, it might not be as bad at the lower elementary levels where you have like one teacher and one group of kids, because then it's like if there's an outbreak with a child, you can isolate it more to like that kid's class and then that kid's bus or whatever. But then they talk about like, all right, now you're quarantining 30 students whose parents also should be, because of retracing, also be quarantined. Then there's all the kids that were on the bus with that kid. Then what did that kid's lunch period, like, how many kids are in that kid's lunch period? You know what I mean? Like, how many other classes are in there? Yeah. Recess, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, is recess going to be a thing in schools? Like, dude, this is so weird. Like, what are we even? I'm glad I don't have those issues. Like, I don't have to worry about like what's going to happen with my kids, or like how the schools are going to handle it, or if my kids get sick. But it's like, there's so many kids, they say, that like, you know, have these underlying conditions that they say that COVID exacerbates, like lung conditions and stuff, that just haven't been diagnosed yet. Because like, let's say your kid hasn't tried to do athletics, so they haven't been doing like any repetitive strenuous cardio. So then they don't know that they have asthma, or they have some other type of lung issue or pathway issue or something like that, that if you end up, or a heart condition, like, you know what I mean? Like, if a kid's really never like pushed himself doing stuff, or doesn't realize like that they get a little more tired than other kids because they don't realize that it's something in their behavior patterns or whatever is abnormal. Kids could have serious cardiac problems, then get COVID and die. And it's like, that's something, it's like, how do we mitigate that risk? And then it's like, well, we don't even have medical facilities right now to test these kids for these underlying things, to single out the kids that might have those and only have them do virtual school or whatever, you know, like, it's just a whole, I mean, not to minimize, but it's a clusterfuck, man. Like, everything in our healthcare system and everything like that's kind of coming to a head too, where we just don't know. You know, this is a pretty heavy conversation for Comics Corner, but I mean, it's a pretty heavy time.
We're getting serious here on Comics
I know,
Corner.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, isn't this supposed to be shit funny? I don't know. I wrote a joke about my cat, calling him pretty boy, and somebody saying that that's going to make him gay. And I'm like, why is that my problem? Like, why is that something that I should even remotely put any anxiety into? Like, if my cat's out there getting dick, like,
hey, man,
power to him. So, but that's the example of the comedy I'm writing these days. So, if you guys enjoy that, I'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah, his kitty
cat
out
there listening. Shit, man. I've been listening to too much of the Joe Rogan podcast, where people with actual opinions are speaking about stuff.
And they actually know stats and stuff. Yeah.
Good shit on there.
Yeah, those are always good conversations, man. I don't even know if I should go back to the like the original questions. Like I feel like we got into something bigger.
No, we can go back. We can go back into some more. You know, like what are your plans? You know, we can do whatever, man. Sorry, we got way off course.
Not at all.
It's a COVID-19 seminar we're having. I don't think anybody's talking about this stuff. So
yeah, no one's having the conversations that we need to have.
Yeah, nobody's out here bringing the real truth to the streets. So you know.
So world, you're welcome. Me and Flick's got the right ideas.
Yeah, we got this handled. Somebody just run this up the food chain that we don't know what we're supposed to do, and this is scary and weird.
And we need to know that we need 300 cameras for each theater, so we can do some comedy.
That's a crazy idea, but that shit could work. If you had one theater in a city where a lot of comics live, you could literally have, and if somebody paid to do that in that theater, like it would be expensive to retrofit, but you could make the money back. Because you could also duplicate a seat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could sell out the front row for more money. And that front row might only have 20 seats, but you could sell that front row to 300 people. You know what I mean? So a 300-seat theater that has these different points of view from different cameras and stuff like that people could pay different amounts for, could, in theory, fit. Or you wouldn't necessarily need 300 cameras if you're doing it the way I'm thinking about now. Like, you could have 5 in the front row and then, like, 10 or 15 spread out in random spots around the theater that cost different amounts for each position that the camera's out, right? So to be the cheapest one to be the furthest away, you get the lowest sound quality. And in the front row, you'd get digital like 8K and like high def sound, you know, and then the comics would just be performing like normally in a theater. And then they would get feedback via speakers and like a screen that's directly in front of them. But if you have that in a large enough city, man, you could have enough guys filtering into that venue on a nightly basis, or like you could have a guy do a 3-night like weekend, and then you have a different headlining comic the next weekend and a different headlining comic the next weekend. It's just having a thing like that is like, you don't even really need a regular venue. You could do that in a fucking warehouse, man. You know what I mean? So you could just find a spot that could accommodate that sort of technology and then just build a stage on it. But it would just have to be in an area like New York or LA that has enough concentration of comics where you could get good enough comics to actually come in and do the shows there. And then the degree of the comics ability would actually, you know, vary the amount that you charge for the tickets. You know, so if you get Chappelle in there, obviously it's going to be like, you know, an expensive ass ticket. But, you know, you get me and you in there, you know, it wouldn't be as bad as.
And I was gonna say, I can't wait 5 years from now when I'm opening up for you in this new theater.
No, I can't wait till somebody out there in the middle of nowhere, somebody watches this shit and is gonna be like, that's actually a pretty fucking good idea, and actually articulates it instead of just bullshitting about it on the podcast. Like,
talking about it. Yeah.
Somebody's gonna go and be like, yeah, that's actually a pretty fucking good idea compared to what we're doing. Because I've seen some of the live stream show things, and I haven't watched, there's like an official comedy club one that I can't remember. I think his name's Steve Hofstetter. I think it's Steve Hofstetter.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of his. He might have been the last person I saw live too, actually. I saw him not too long before it all shut down.
So did you watch any of the comedy on that? Like, I haven't watched anything on it.
Just very small snippets, yeah.
But how is the format? Like, is it just a Zoom sort of a thing, or just like a camera set up on the comic and then
they bring up? Yeah, I don't want to speak on it because, like I said, I just checked that for a second because I find it even weird to watch it, even to a degree. You know, when it's just one shot and like this, like even that's hard for me in a way. Like I love watching specials, but I don't know, the Zoom thing is weird.
See, they've got. This is going to sound really weird as well, but they've got these augmented reality glasses you can buy now. A company called Vuzix, it's Vuzix is the name of the company, makes them. And I was actually thinking of articulating, like, if you could take that technology where, you know, the comics wearing that and the people you at home are sitting in front of your camera and you're like, your camera's taking your image in. Like right now you're cut out with your background behind you, but the people that would be doing this, you'd have to put something else behind you so it just looks normal or whatever, right? And then you would just be like, they would have the cutout of the person like digitally displayed potentially in these seats too, while the comic's wearing these augmented reality glasses. He's panning back and forth. He's seeing you laugh in real time, like, but you're not there. Like if we could make that happen, like if we could get to that level of technology, then you could really change the game of what like live stand-up comedy is. Now, because you could, it could be a sea of people in front of you as opposed to a 300-seat room. You could have those people that are there in the room, and then even potentially have that extra added layer of the at-home live effect too. But it's all like, that would take like the integration of a lot of different technologies. I'm not rich enough to pull this shit together. If I had a couple $1 million sitting around, I probably would have already built like a digital theater like this and made it a thing, Yeah, if you've got but you live out in Naples, man. If you got a buddy out there that's got a couple mil lying around, tell him your boy Flick's got a pretty good idea. You just need to build it out in LA or New York.
I don't know.
I mean, really
rich for boozy friends.
Yeah, you could call it the stage of dreams and just make it like, you build it anywhere. It's like, if you build it, they will come. Because if comics had an opportunity, if you really had technology like this worked out and there was a financial model where you could pay them, like, hey, man, I can't give you quite what it was when you were filling a theater of real people. Or maybe you can eventually once you get, your cost analysis done and you recoup your costs. Like, this could realistically be a future business model for all kinds of live events where there's an integration of augmented reality for the performers with some sort of just different. I don't know how much of the technology. Maybe you could even have that on the other end. Maybe you could have it virtual reality on the other end as well, like augmented reality on the part of the performer, but then you have virtual reality on the other end where you have you have a VR headset on, and from your camera post or wherever you are, you can look all around, and it feels like you're really in the theater, and it feels like you're really sitting in the front row, and Chappelle's right there, or Bill Burr's right there, and you're looking up at him, and he can look down at that camera, and it's like, whoa, it's like he's really looking at, and they already have some sort of 3D experiences like that. But if we could get to the point where the internet's fast enough, the technology is good enough, where we can have live VR experiences like that, that would be cool as hell. Because then you don't even have to be in the room. And if we can get there, man, like, that's just, like I said, that's a lot of development of technology and stuff like that. But
I have one idea I want to hear your opinion on.
What's up?
Because I was thinking about this even before COVID too. So like a big thing in like sports obviously is it's live. How come there's not more like live like pay-per-views of like comedians, and maybe to where you do it like where you spend you have a small crowd and then maybe you type in the laughs or whatever. But I thought there'd be interesting live shows.
That's what people are doing now, but I feel like there have been people that have done it. Like Brian Regan did a special that was live a couple years back. That was good. But there have been people that have done stuff like that, and there have been people that have done single tapings of shows and stuff like like Pryor has like one tape specials and stuff like that are live, like that were shot live.
But I always thought it'd be more interesting if you're even live.
But I feel like it's a perfect. There's a part of every comic that wants to be perfect or right for everything. Sure. Live has such an aspect of unpredictability. Like, let's say you've got a bit that you're running that sets up. Like, let's say you have one joke that you're running that is the foundation for what is a 10 or 15 minute chunk, and you get heckled in the middle of the setup for that joke, and it just fucks up the rhythm of that one joke.
True. Rhythm might be welcoming hecklers too, if they know they'll get on live too. That could
exactly. So that's the extra added aspect. If you know that this is a live broadcast, you might be more of a jackass and not less of one. And there's no way to really police that. That's what I was going to get to next. But so it's just like, the rhythm that can be thrown off of somebody. Because normally if you're live, or if I'm at a club, and let's say that club has 200 people in it, you step on one joke that fucks up 10 or 15 minutes that I was planning to do for the next 10 or 15 minutes, I can come to kind of punch at you a little bit and see if I can reset it up and go into what I was going to do. Or I can choose to just fucking cut that and use different material for that 10 or 15 minute chunk. But if I'm doing something live consumption for pay-per-view, I don't think I want to cut 10 or 15 minutes out of nowhere that I was planning to deliver to the masses of these people that are paying $25 a piece from their living room. Like, I don't want to cut that good ass joke that I wrote that was for them because one asshole stepped on it. Whereas if you're doing a taping, you do the taping 2, 3, 4 times, the odds of you getting heckled at the same point in that joke every time you tape it is fucking impossible. So you have the ability to work through issues that might arise if you were only going to do, a single taping, compared to that. So that's just, I feel like that's why they've gone more from tapings to live specials. And it's just that human effect, I feel like really has put a damper on any, modicum of or any amount of live specials really happening. Brian Regan's was great though. Like, I'll give him that. Like, his worked flawlessly, and but I personally wouldn't like it because I'm not big on crowd work. Like, I do every once in a while if I have like a bit that kind of seems like it works, but I'm not a guy that talks to the audience too much. And
I wasn't viewing it for crowd work. It was just more. I just think it would add to my intrigueness. If I was like borderline, like, oh, interested in a special, I think I would be put over the top if I was like told, oh no, they're filming this live. You know what I mean? Like, and then get that kind of car crash. Like, oh, let's see if some shit happens.
Well, right, I see that aspect of it. I just feel like on a performer side, I get why they would do it.
I know we talked about it.
Yeah. So, I personally, like, I wouldn't want to do longer than like a short set. If somebody was doing something and it was like a showcase set where I could go up and do like 5, I would be down for something like that. But I mean, I would still need some kind of audience, man. Like, I need some people in the room. I could do an online show if there were some people in the room. I mean, and I'm talking 10 people is enough, 20 people is enough to get enough of a feedback to know that a joke is working, to still do it in rhythm with the laughter, to still have my timing be correct, But these all online things, like, I don't know, man. Like, I need feedback of some kind, So let's just, Jordan, let's spitball here for a little bit. We'll get some money together. We'll get a couple million together, and we'll build VR and augmented reality comedy. And we'll start a live event thing. Like, that's the other thing I thought was, like, people were talking about, like, yeah, like all these concerts that are canceling and shit, like, why don't you just do like live broadcast shows for people that already bought tickets this year? Like, do a broadcast show of some kind for those people and then still postpone the show for next year. You know what I mean? Because I have friends that pay like $300 for like Halsey tickets, and then, it gets postponed for like 15 months. And because they bought it on a third party site, they can't get a refund. Shit like that's going on right now. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on some refunds from WrestleMania was in town, and so I bought different tickets from different companies. Still haven't gotten all my refunds.
Damn, dude, that's rough. And that was weird as hell. I actually signed up because they have the WWE Network. I actually signed up for the app and everything, the free trial, just to like check out. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be really weird. I haven't watched WrestleMania in years, but I'll check it out. And then it was like, oh wait, there's no audience, and it was crazy weird to me. And they're still rolling like that. Like, they're still doing.
They finally changed it now to where what it is now is they have sparse crowd, and what it is, it's all trainees. It's all trainees doing like it's just a few. It's literally like 5 here, 10 to 20 here, 10 to 20 here. Like, it's just so there's something, and it definitely is a better, because when it's just crickets, like, it's odd as hell. And I have some friends that are like, I can't do it. Like, I've still stuck in to a degree, but like, I have some friends that are like, I literally cannot do it. I can't watch it.
It's harder to suspend the disbelief without the addition of mob mentality. Like, for something like that is so dramatic that like,
just,
you need to see 30,000 people buying this shit, or it makes it hard to buy the shit with wrestling. I could think that was like where we were like, man, this is like this. They're doing as good of a job as they can do. This is just weird. Like, this is not what wrestling is. How are you playing to a crowd? How are you being a villain playing to a crowd when there's no crowd? Like, seeing the guys go up to the ropes and go, and just like do all the same act outs and shit. I'm like, bro, there's nobody there. This doesn't work. Why are you still doing the same choreography?
It was really weird too. Like, they even left in the chairs the first couple weeks. Like, it was just like wide shots of just nothing, and then finally they kind of like covered stuff up. But the first couple weeks was even worse. Like, they do a wide shot and you're just like, oh, it's so sad looking.
And I mean, dude, I guess that's better than nothing, but it's still
that's the idea, is that they're trying to give us still entertainment, and then there's obviously other aspects of, they have sponsors, so they're probably trying to keep going for their own rights. But it's better than nothing. And like I said, I in a weird way, I've gotten a little used to it. But I can't wait for the day of, because there's 2 companies now, and like, it's weird when like they've had people like debut, and it's like, it's not the same anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy's here. No crowd or 30 people.
Yeah, nobody there to get pumped and excited. Yeah. This guy switched, sides. It was like back in the day, it was WCW and WWE.
Yeah. And it really, especially too when it's like that, you're like, oh, that would have been such a a loud moment, would have been,
Yeah. Oh well. One
Uh,
day, someday soon. We'll see.
I know. I mean, that's the hopes. I mean, they always keep pushing it back. They already said SummerSlam will be an empty arena again. They gave up on that, so I don't know. We'll see, man. Just like everyone, everyone's raring to go, but at the same time,
Yeah. And that's where I'm at, man. It's like I really want to go out and perform, and I want to put stuff together. I want to try to like get stuff into like I want to work on some script stuff and get that into pushing towards getting into production and stuff. But like so many things are backlogged now. So many things that were planned for production are just shut down or froze, and it's just like, and in my brain I'm like, I really don't. How to put it? It's like all the things that I want to do are just like weird things where it's like there are people out there literally worried about surviving right now. And I'm like, I just want people to like. I got this kind of funny story, and I want to turn it into a show or a movie, and like, it's really important to me that I get, like the things that I had prioritized for my future are so low priority now compared to what's going on. That is weird because it's like I'm like, otherwise everything else is good. Like, I'm like, my dreams are kind of they're over here on the back burner a little bit, But so I'm just trying to. I really would love to figure out something I could do that I feel like is satisfying, and gives me the same, like it's satisfying for me, and I feel like it's still funny. Like I went down to Tampa and I did a few skits with John Jacobs and Cam Bertrand and Luke Trotta. We went down and a few other guys down there in the Tampa scene, and we did some stuff. And that a couple months back, that was a lot of fun, But now it's like it's even like, man, that many of us got together anymore, and it's just like I don't know. Man, I went to a theme park 2 weeks ago. Let's just shoot some stuff and hope you don't die. I don't know. Like, don't go visit your grandma for 2 weeks after we hang out and shoot some stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Poor grandmas and grandpas. They want to go out too, I'm sure. I feel bad for them.
Well, I feel bad. My grandmother was she has to go into the hospital. She's in her 90s, and she has to go to the hospital for a cyst on her kidney. But she's of age where she's like, she's not sure. And my whole family's like, you got to go see her. And I'm like, there's a pandemic going on right now. And you want every member of the family to go see Nana in person. Like you want all of us to individually go and see her in person when any one of us could be carrying a disease that could actually kill her when she's going into the hospital for like a procedure, but she should probably be fine, like, I don't know. There's just, and it's so hard to like, what do you weigh the logic? Like, yeah, I want to see my grandmother in case something happens and she goes into surgery. But I also don't want to be the person that comes and brings it to my grandmother that causes her to actually die at the hospital. Like, it's just like, so like, what do I do? Like.
I know, man. I'm a big, like, not believer, but like I get scared of all the what ifs. Like, man, what if I go to Publix at the wrong day? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how shitty would that have been if I'd gone a day early, or if I just gone to Winn-Dixie instead, or you know what I mean? Like that always fucks up my mind too.
Dude, I mean, I had a friend give me crap for going to Universal, and I was like, listen, man, that theme park was doing more to sanitize and follow protocols of social distancing and wearing a mask, and like people were calling other people out, employees were calling people out, like. They were doing more than any grocery store or restaurant I have seen to actually establish and maintain these protocols and to like go in and sanitize like the rides and the lap bars and stuff like that when people get off of them. So they were doing about as much as they can given the situation. So I don't know. It's like if we all just do as much as we can, I think stuff will be better really soon. I just feel like there's just this big resistance of like. A chunk, it might only be 10% of the population, but 10% is enough to slow down the growth. Like the 10% is enough to slow down us curbing this by a long period of time. If 10% of the people keep just being like stubborn and being like, I'm not wearing a mask. It's like, for what? Like, all right, dude, like how long are you in the fucking grocery store for that it bothers you to slap one of these bad boys on when you go to buy a steak? Like slap it on. And if you want, like, the notion that, like, well, if your mask protects you, why should I wear one? Because I might not have it and you might, and then I might touch the same box of fucking cereal that you did, and now I have it because you're a prick. Because you coughed into your hand.
It's simple math, man. If we both were, then there's even less of a chance. So, like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
It's not perfect. It's not that I'm wearing the mask and you're wearing the mask, and now there's no chance either one of us can give it to the other one. No. But there's lower chance. And even if all it is curbing it somewhat, then why is this hard dude, like, I don't want to be a dick and say, you know, that you're just being an idiot or this, that, or the other if you don't do it. But on the same token, it's like, dude, like, have a list of what you want in the grocery store, slap the mask on, walk in and buy this shit, and walk out of the grocery store and take your mask back off.
And if it bothers you that much, guess what? You got delivery nowadays. You got shit
now you can
and
get
Postmates.
if you really don't want to like go deal with the shit, then get the shit dropped off to your door, and don't be like ignorant assholes like pushing employees that are telling you that there's a mask order and you have to wear one and stuff. Like, I saw this video of this old guy trying to push a dude at the front of a Walmart. It's like, hey man, you got to put on a mask. And he was trying to give him a mask. It wasn't even like you had to bring one or you had to buy one. He's like, dude, here, you can, you know, and the guy just refused to wear it. And he wasn't even trying to do like the bullshit HIPAA thing. He was like, you can't even ask me if I have a condition where I shouldn't wear one of these. And it's like, actually, that applies to doctors and like insurance companies and stuff like that. I'm not allowed to legally share your information without your permission and stuff. Me, as a random human being, I can ask you what your condition is. I am not legally bound to HIPAA agreements. Also, in the event that your condition or your desire to not apply to a current like standard would affect my employees' health or my customers' health, I can absolutely tell you that you have to tell me, well, you can't shop in my store just because you have a medical condition. That's not Americans again. Like, that's not the ADA Act. Like, that shit doesn't protect you. Like, you know, that's what people keep trying to act like, oh, I don't have to wear a mask because of the fucking, you know, the Americans with Disability Act. Like, bullshit. Like, that's not what this is. And if you really have a medical condition where your lungs are fucked, why are you going out in public during a pandemic that fucking kills people that have issues with their lungs? Why are you not staying at home and getting your shit Instacarted, or having a friend or a relative that you trust that's been tested go and get your shit for you? You know what I mean? Like, why is this something that we have to like deal with? Like, why is in 2020 people like freaking out over wearing a piece of cloth over their face for 20 minutes, a half an hour at a time? The only 1 or 2 times a week that they should be going out. You know what I think it really is people like, I don't know. I think it's like a laziness factor, or really people don't like, I think there's a lot of stuff that like people go out and do normally that they can't get done as easily. And also there's a lot of people having to spend a lot more time with themselves than they normally did. And that's really hard for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people start to realize they kind of suck. And like, you know, I'm like, like, this kind of sucks, but I still see a few friends, and like, you know,
It's kind of like it's a big relationship tester too. They said because of this new thing, either A, your relationship's gonna get stronger, or B, you're gonna realize you fucking hate that person.
Yeah, and y'all should probably not have. The amount of time you spend apart at work is hyper beneficial, because the amount of time you end up spending together now is way more now that one or both of you are unemployed. That's the whole. I saw this whole thing. Like, this was the only conspiracy theory I actually bought, where people are like, they don't want like everything to reopen because they think it's the best time to reopen. They want everything to reopen so they can stop paying unemployment to so many people. You know, like, that actually makes sense. Like, that actually, like, oh, okay, actually, yeah.
That makes sense, but at the same time, they don't really have much pull though. Or, well, I don't know. I guess they might. I don't know. I see it.
Fucking weird, man.
Well, Flake, we're pretty much at the end of the show now.
All right. Yeah. Is there any real questions, or we just want to keep?
All right. So real quick, what was your first gig like? What inspires your comedy? Clean and dirty. Has your comedy evolved? What's your favorite venues? Would you ever want to run a show yourself? Who's your favorites, locals and big? Are you interested in sketch or comedy? What's your current ventures and movie series over 5 years? Answer all those real quick.
My first gig I was actually paid by Max Mosquito in Naples at some bar I do not remember the name of. I didn't actually find out I was getting paid until after the show. It was a show that Damian Seaman was on, but it wasn't a Damian Seaman show, and Damian Seaman ended up getting drunk, heckling the headliner, and then passing out front and pissing himself. So that was why I remember my first.
Jax?
That might have been it. Yeah, it was like a seafood
Yes.
spot.
Yeah, it was Jax. I like that place. I wasn't at that one. I missed the pissing one. I remember him fighting Joe Mobley. I was at that one.
In terms of local favorites, it's like in this area, you know, man, a lot of guys, you know, migrate away. You know, I'm a big fan of right now. John Charles Ragland. He's a guy around here that I love to see perform. I've always been a big fan of Chris Machado, but he moved up to I think he's living up in the Boston area, I want to say. somewhere in Massachusetts. I might be wrong. We're not close enough. I'm sorry, Chris. But right now, nowadays, in terms of the young cats, man, I'm awful, man. I'm so bad with names. I'm like, man, I see this kid like 3 times at the mics. It's actually really funny, and I can't remember his name, so I'm just gonna will not say him, and I'll just say I like Kyle and Luke too, and you're pretty good as well, but I don't see you anymore as much as I'd like. So, that's that. My current ventures, I'm mostly just day trading and looking into some other passive income streams and like stuff like that. So trying to gravitate away from standard day job work to letting my money work for me while I do what I want to do comedy wise. And I do have an interest in sketch or improv comedy, but hard to do in an area where there's not a lot of either, and not as much interest as I would like. And in 5 years, I see myself hopefully living in LA. Writing or doing like voiceover work would be ideal. And hopefully still doing some, road work, comedy stuff here or there. And hopefully alive. That's the big one. I'm just
Yes.
fingers crossed that I don't make that. I want to make the 1%, but not the 1% of people in my age group that actually die of COVID. Yeah, but yeah, man, I'm just trying to survive for the next 5 years. I think that my goal has switched from thrive to survive. I want to mix in as much thrive as I can in there, but for right now, I will definitely just take survival.
Let's do a trip down memory lane. Remember this cat?
Oh, look at that handsome fellow, Blazer Dave. That's who we're referred to. My own question when I watched old videos of myself, I was like, why was I like? I hold the microphone like Donald Trump holds a glass of water. It's unsettling. Why do I need both my hands? But look at him, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Look at that hair. Oh, see, this is when I look at that and I'm like, maybe I'm not going as bald as I think because my hairline isn't much worse than that right now.
You're drinking a Pabst Blue Ribbon, it looks like.
Yeah, probably. That was at Max Doyle's house, man.
Yeah.
Chilling on the couch. Look at that. I don't know if it's just both of us or that couch, but man, our postures were fucking.
Yeah,
awful.
I'm very like weirdly slouched. Yeah.
Oh man, that is a trip down memory lane. I missed that fucking shirt with the panda riding bicycle.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I missed my shirt. It's a Hot Fuzz T-shirt from Simon Pegg.
Dude, that was a sick shirt that I won't be able to find. Like, you could probably find a Hot Fuzz shirt, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to find that panda shirt again.
I'll find it, man. You can find anything on the internet.
I'll look for it. I will try to check. I have like 2 old school shirts I used to wear on stage a lot. I had that one, and I had like one where it was like a cheetah, just like a cheetah head wearing a hat with the bill on the hat just said "word." And I would wear that on stage all the fucking time because it was as confusing as I was trying to be, Oh, and also my inspiration for my comedy is typically just daily life and odd thoughts. And I lean towards dirty, but I'm trying to write some more palatable comedy, I'll call it, some more generically palatable, still within my own voice and still with the same, sort of style that I always perform in, but just a little more, little easier for. Oh, that one, I know what that is. I was doing my bit about the giant ginger albino comedian.
I can picture that too now. Yeah, once I saw it.
I used to be very emotive. I gotta get back into that a little bit more. Maybe I'm looking at that. Like I had a lot more energy. And maybe that's just youth and enthusiasm. I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not a spry chicken down there at McCurdy's.
When we were younger, man.
I'm just trying to get to the point where I had like 20, to bring it back down, like 20, 30 minutes of like cleaning up stuff. So I can shoot a dry bar would be awesome. Like, because I feel like that's working out for a lot of people. If I could get to the level where I thought I had a good enough 20 or 30 minutes that was representational of me and like what my act is like without being essentially as dirty as a lot of the subject matter that I've talked about in the past is, I'd really like to get to that point. So that's what a lot of what I've been writing about, a lot more using a lot more stories and anecdotes from my life to like balance out the absurd, just like what if stuff that I've written over the years. But hopefully in 5 years I'm in LA doing stand up and doing something for the man, making big bucks out there. You're out there with me, wrestling or doing whatever.
I was about to say that actually was something. My plans was at the beginning of next year, move out, and that's one of my options. So I might be there with you, man.
Man, but it's like right now though too. It's like I'm even not sure that LA is going to necessarily be the spot.
I know, that's why I said maybe. I'm right there with you.
I thought LA was the spot until all this happened, and now I see like that if other people, like other creatives and stuff, are going to be moving away, then I don't necessarily want to go to a place that people aren't going to consider the same thing. But then there's also part of me that's like Hollywood's going to be Hollywood forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if I can afford to live out there, it's better than living in Austin or Atlanta or wherever else is doing stuff.
If we can make it there, we can make
it anywhere. Damn it.
That wasn't a fucking duet, David.
I made it one.
I'm just like.
It was good talking with you, man.
Absolutely, buddy. Good talking. I really like this episode here. We went on some interesting stuff here. And
I had a good time, man. And I hope that some people out there got woke by our deep COVID talks, bro. And that everybody out there is learning about the one, they're all Googling about the one world order and how we're not a part of it yet. So you can still be fans of ours. We're not quarantined. We're not Tom Hanks or Oprah Winfrey. We're not part of pedophile stings. So you can still follow us. I know you can follow me at Flick in a Box on all platforms except for Snapchat. That's the Flickle. It's harder to change your name on Snapchat, and I got a lot of friends on there. But yeah, so how do we end this? Do we just stop talking?
I just drift off looking at you. No, this was Comics Corner for this week. David, we'll do this again in about another 8 years.
Sounds good, man.
We'll be in the same places probably talking about how we're going to go to LA in a few months.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably have that same whale poster. So just end it how we started it. All right, I'll catch you later, man.
And hey, don't forget, just like that cat on the tree, hang in there.